Okay, so now we're going to do 5.2. I figured I better stop that other video because I know Connor would have called back. So I called him real quick, and now I'm on to 5.2. He didn't know I was doing videos. So we're going to talk about multiplying polynomials. So we have 2 to the fourth, where 2 is the base and 4 is the exponent. You really get 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. It just means 4 times. Same thing with x to the fifth. There are 5 x's multiplied together. The product rule says if we have the same base, all we have to do is add our exponents. So if you have x to the second times x to the third, our bases are the same, the shortcut to this is to just add our exponents and get x to the fifth. And the reason I can prove that is because there's 2 x's here. 1, 2. There's 3 here. 1, 2, 3. And now I have 5 altogether. So the difference though between the product, so all you have to do is add your exponents. We will use this one a lot. Okay, we'll use this one as well, but this one will be used probably more than any. The power rule, when you're taking a power and raising it to a power, you're going to multiply it. Okay, so if we have x to the second raised to the third, all you have to say is 2 times 3, which gives you x to the sixth. And here's the reason why that works. It is like having 3 of these x to the second, or x squares. Okay, well, this x squared means x times x. This is x times x. And this is x times x. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all together. This is the same, I kind of think they're the exact same rule. It's just that everything inside these parentheses gets raised to that n power. So you'd have a to the n, b to the n. All right, so let's try some examples. Using the products to power rule, we have more than one thing in the parentheses, so we're really going to say 5 to the third, x to the third. Because remember, these have a power, we just don't write them. It's 1. So 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 3 is 3. The only thing we need to do here, if you put this in my math lab, it's probably going to count it wrong, because this 5 to the third can be simplified to 125 times x to the third. Right here, be careful because of this negative. You are actually taking -2 and raising it to the 4th power. And you're going to take this y to the 4th and raise it to the 4th power. The -2 has 4 negatives. 4 is an even number, so it's a positive. And 2 to the 4th power gives us 16. Y and 4 to the 4 times 4 gives us 16. Right here we have -2 raised to the 5th power, y, and we are going to multiply this, so we get 20. -2 to the 5th power, we have 5 negatives. 5 is odd, so our answer is negative. And 2 to the 5th power gives us 32. Y to the 20th. Okay. Example 2, multiplying monomial times a monomial. All you're going to do is you're going to say -10 times 6. That's going to give us -60. X to the 4th times x to the 10th. We are going to add our exponents. I got ahead of myself and put x. 4 plus 10 gives us 14. Okay, again we are saying x to the 4th times x to the 10th. Remember, we add our exponents. Okay, right here, 2 times the -3 gives us -6, times 8 gives us -48. Y to the, we have 2 here, we have 1, that makes 3, and 4 makes 7. And again, you can pause this at any time if you get behind, or if you'd like to try one on your own. Either way. Okay, multiplying a monomial times a polynomial, you're going to distribute this 2x across this parentheses. You're going to say 2x times x gives us 2x squared, and 2x times 4 gives us 8x. And that's all. Right here, 3x squared times 4x gives us 12x to the 5th, because you're going to say 3 times 4 is 12, and x squared times x cubed gives us x to the 5th because we add our exponents. 3x squared times a negative 5x, 1 negative, 1 is odd, positive times a negative is a negative. 3 times 5 is 15. X squared times x is x to the 3rd. Remember, this has a power of 1. And then 3x squared times 2, 3 times 2 gives us 6x squared. Binomial times a binomial. Okay, you've all heard of FOIL, I'm sure. Okay. I kind of just talk about distributing. I say first take the x and distribute it across the other parenthesis. Okay. X times x is x squared, and x times 2 gives us 2x. Now, over here, that is where the F stands for first. The O is outer or outside. I is inside or inner, however you want to say it. Whoops, I already had the I there, right? And then the L stands for last. Okay, well, I've already done the first in each one of them. The outside terms, okay, that's where the F and the O come from FOIL. The I and the L come from distributing this 3 across it. These are the inside terms, okay, but if you just distribute the 3, it's the same thing. The inside terms gives you 3 times x is 3x, and the 3 times 2 gives us 6. Now we got to combine our like terms if we have any. Well, 2x and 3x give us 5x. Now the more you practice, the more you can skip this part and do this in your head. Like me, I know it's x squared. I know this term comes from what I call the OI, the outsides plus insides. So I have 2x plus 3x is 5x, and then this term always comes from these two terms, the last. Okay, right here, that gives us 6x squared minus 12x plus 14x minus 28. Combine our like terms, the middle terms. Negative 12 and positive 14 gives us 2x, or negative 12x and positive 14x gives us 2x minus 28. Now again, I have so much, I'm really good at it, but the only reason is because I practice it. And I don't come home and do math problems. It's just that I'm teaching this constantly, so I'm always doing problems. So that's where I get my practice from. But I don't need to write this out. I go straight to here because I say 6x squared. This comes from outsides plus insides. Negative 12x, positive 14x gives me 2x. And then my last term is these two, which is negative 28. Okay, example 5, multiplying a binomial times a trinomial. This is where FOIL doesn't work. You can't, because there's more, you have 3 terms here. So again, if you just think of distributing, you distribute the 2x, and then you distribute the 3, and it works the exact same thing. 2x times x squared is 2x cubed. 2x times 4x gives me 8x squared. 2x times 5 gives me 10x. Now I'm going to distribute the 3. 3 times 3x, 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times 4x gives me 12x. And 3 times 5 gives me 15. I am going to apologize if I make any mistakes while teaching because, especially on video, I don't have anybody here to say, hey, Kim, you did something wrong. So I would love to say that I'm a teacher that never make mistakes, but it happens. All right, I'm going to combine my like terms. I have 8x squared and 3x squared, which gives me 11x squared. 10x and 12x gives me 22x plus 15. And that's it. Okay, right here, same thing, distribute the 3x. 3x squared. 3x squared times 2x cubed gives me 6x to the 5th. 3x squared times 5x squared gives me negative 15x to the 4th. 3x squared times 4x gives me 12x cubed. Now I'm going to distribute the negative 2x. This gives me negative 4x to the 4th. This gives me a positive 10x cubed. And this gives me a negative 8x squared. Okay, combine our like terms. Start with the highest exponent, so it's 6x to the 5th. I have a negative 15x to the 4th and negative 4x to the 4th, which gives us negative 19x to the 4th. 12x cubed and 10x cubed gives me 22x cubed, and then minus 8x squared. Okay, and example 6. You can only multiply two things at once. Okay, people will look at, my students sometimes will look at this and go, oh, I don't know how to do it. Well, if you had 2 times 3 times 5, let's say, you wouldn't try to do it all 3 at the same time. You would take 2 at a time. You'd rather say this gives us 6 times 5 is 30. You might say this gives me 15 times 2 gives me 30. Or you might say 5 times 2 is 10 times 3 is 30. So same thing with this. Me personally, it doesn't really matter if you do multiply the 2 out. It's whatever you feel like, okay? I'm going to distribute the 2. I get 2x plus 10 now in this set of parentheses. And now I would use FOIL on this, okay? I'm not going to do everything. I'm just going to do it like this. This gives me 6x squared, okay? Remember, my middle term comes from outsides plus insides, okay? What that means is this, I'm doing this actually in my head, but I'm writing it down for you, is negative 16x plus 30x, okay? Outsides plus insides. So that's going to give me 14x. And now I'm going to say 10 times the negative 8 gives me negative 80. And right here, I'm going to distribute that negative 4. I'm going to get negative 28x squared. Man, they got to use big numbers here. And positive 4x. Now I'm going to multiply that times the 2x minus 3. Okay, so this gives me, and I am going to have to do this out because of that x squared and this being an x. So we'll use FOIL. Negative 56x cubed. A negative 28 times a negative 3 gives us positive 84. X squared. Okay, now I'm going to distribute the 4x, do the insides. That gives me, this gives me 8x, and then 4x times negative 3 is negative 12. And that's it. And that finishes up 5.2. Okay.